Okay. All right. Well, good evening, everybody. And we're recording this conversation on Sunday evening, April the 26th. And I'm here with two of my good friends, Johnny Adams, who is one of the elders at Kaufman Church of Christ, and Sasha Metso, who is a minister at the Light of Jesus Church in Almaty, Kazakhstan, and is one of our missionaries in Kaufman. And we support him and his family and have for many years. And I wanted to spend a few minutes having a conversation tonight about just kind of how things are going with for the church in Almaty. And we know that COVID-19 is impacting people around the world and not just in our area. And I wanted to give a sense about, how that is taking place and how people's lives are being impacted. And so I thought it would be helpful just to have a conversation with Sasha and get him to share some of his perspectives. And then also this will be a great opportunity for us to kind of get an update on how things are going with the church there and get to hear from Sasha. So thanks for doing this, guys. Appreciate y'all giving up some time tonight. And just so you know, it's 8 p.m. on Sunday evening, April the 26th here in Kaufman, where Johnny and I are, but it's 7 a.m. in Almaty, where Sasha is. So he has just woken from sleep as best as he could sleep last night. I think he had a little bit of a rough night sleeping, but so school and everything is about to get started over there. But Sasha, why don't you kind of start by just kind of giving everybody an update? How's your family? How are things going? And just kind of share a little bit of an update in that regard. Can y'all hear me okay? I'm hearing a little bit of a click, and I don't know if it's my earbuds or not.
Yeah, I hear you, and I don't hear the click.
Okay, so it's probably just me. I just wanted to make sure everybody else wasn't hearing that. So, okay, so yeah, Sasha, go ahead and start us with that.
I'll do a little introduction. Last fall, I went to Tom's Tom's church reunion. It's where I came to Christ and where Randy Green started the first church in Russia, if you remember. And there I was praying about my next move with the Lord, and all the time I heard that I need to to purify spiritually, to get cleaner spiritually, to prepare for next stage of my ministry or something. You can probably never understand it 100% clearly, but it's what I understood.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started eagerly praying for that. I always want to be better, spiritually closer to God. And this year started rough, I would say, for our family. First, we had that car accident when me and Anna were driving, and our car is still in the repair. And that was a shock. Never experienced anything like that. And we haven't still got out of there, but God gave us some grace and we received money from insurance company and starting repairment now. And then 3 weeks ago, I dropped this metal sewage lid on my toe and crushed the bone, and now I'm on crutches. And that was even a bigger shock. I don't remember experiencing such pain. And the only comforting for me through this time was that God is making me better, hopefully.
Yeah.
I haven't heard people around me confirming that, but it's still my hope.
Is your foot less painful now, Sash?
Yeah, I'm taking no pills now. Don't feel any pain, so it's healing. And then because of in between those two, because of the car broken, I had to take my family for 6 weeks to the school, and it was 1 hour driving in the morning, 1 hour driving in the evening, and I had to stay in the school and work in their gym. heading up my office there, and I got sick and I was coughing for a month. So, but it's all getting better now. I'm afraid of thinking of the next stage, what's going to be next. But so far, the quarantine did not influence us in time business wise. We all busy. Zhenya is teaching from home, and the kids are studying from home. And this Christian school, Tianshan, is very well organized, and they give a lot of grace to the students. So they're doing an amazing job teaching children. And so that's probably about my family. And it's a blessing that we have a big property and a garden, and it's nice area, so we can we even have two neighbor girls, and their names, they are 5 and 7. Their names are Sasha and Zhenya.
That's funny.
And my kids play with them over the fence. Their parents would not allow them to enter our property or us to get their property, and so they would sit on the fence, and ours would be on the ladder by the fence, and they play with each other. So that's our quarantine social interaction.
That's cool. Yeah, some of us, we saw the pictures. If you get Sasha's newsletter, we saw the pictures of his toe, the x-rays. And then we actually, Sasha, sent those pictures to the church. We shared that newsletter with the church. So if people read the newsletter, they would have also seen your toe. And so we're grateful that that's better, and that the car is on the also getting repaired, and hope that continues to, that situation continues to improve. So are y'all homeschooling now? How has the coronavirus impacted you guys there in Almaty with school and work? And are people, first of all, with your family, but also just with other people in the church there? Or here, all the schools have closed for the remainder of the year. Lots of people are working from home now. And so are the same kind of things happening there with you and with your family and with members of the church there?
Yes, as I said, our school isn't to me what the government will have TV channels like we used to have in the past, when everybody would watch a TV from an antenna that's like on the house of their all over the country, and they have a schedule for all classes, and the teachers there present their lessons, and then they correspond by WhatsApp and different messengers with their students to check their homework. It has been, as Zhenya witnessed, a lot hard, very hard on the teachers to check that children's handwriting sent to you by phone.
Yeah.
And she said it was many teachers have problems with their eyesight now because it's so much load on them.
Mm.
And it was funny that when the teachers would teach from a TV, they would make mistakes in grammar and in math, and because the whole country is watching them, everybody see those mistakes, and they made funny videos. And the government apologized, and they said that the best teachers will teach from there. And about the work, there is some people like Stas from our small group, they said they have more work because they work in the internet sphere. They present Kazakhstan stars on internet space. but because the city was surrounded by block posts with police and people from the outside the city cannot enter, and probably half of the Almaty area was working inside the city. Before the quarantine, you could see like thousands, tens of thousands of people moving into the city in the morning and leaving back. Now they can't come and they have no income.
Oh,
And I don't know how they're going to survive outside the city. One of our house group, Zhenya, he has his workers for his company, and he said, I paid them for 1 month that they didn't work, but I cannot pay them more because I just don't have resources. My company is not making any money right now, and so it's hard on those people. The good thing what government did, they gave $100 help to everyone who lost their job because of coronavirus. But not everybody can confirm, because half of the people, they were not officially working, they were not paying taxes, and so they wouldn't receive that help. And still that there would be, like, if you have a family, maybe for 2-3 weeks help. So there is a lot of food distribution going on, especially by the churches, to help those people who run out of food. And it's also what I've been trying to do, especially the families that we are working with, studying Bible with, trying to see if anybody of them need food so we can help them with food. And the problem is because the police is very strict here. It's not like in US. Like one of the brothers from our small group, he was arrested because him and his wife, they went to take their dog outside, and they went 50 meters further than they were supposed to do. He was taken to a police office and given a warning that next time he'll be arrested for 14 days into prison.
wow.
Yeah.
Goodness.
And in Russia, they even said about worse, but it's probably just, I don't think it's made as a law, but they already send the clips, spreading the clips out where police is shooting people on the street. I don't think it will come to it, but they're scaring by that in Moscow. But here, they have block posts, like police cars are standing all over the city. And if you're driving by, they're stopping you. They're checking if you have electronic permission to get out of the city, because you're only allowed to get 1 mile from the place where you're registered. You don't know about that, but in Kazakhstan and in Russia, everybody has supposed to have an address registered in a database where you live. So the government will know exactly your location, and you cannot get further than 1 mile away from your location, and only to buy food or get to the drugstore. So our 3 preachers were arrested for distributing the food.
Oh,
because they were taking food to their church members, and police arrested them. They've been taken to police and spent all night. They said it was very uncomfortable room that they've been to. And then the next day there was a court case, and they were fined $50, but it's bigger here than there, with average income of probably $400 or $500 a month. So they've been given these fines.
Wow, that's helpful perspective. So, like here, when people go to the grocery store, they're only allowing like a certain number of people to go in the store at a time, and most people have to wear a face covering of some kind. Is the same kind of stuff happening there with the restrictions when you're in public?
Yeah, even here we even have to wear rubber gloves and a mask. you will not be able to enter to the store.
Okay.
But the problem with our local store that they let too many people in, and there is still the stores are crowded. Zhenya said that they went to the big store a week ago, and there was so many people that they finally closed the doors. They made the rest people wait outside.
Wow.
Yeah.
One company, they decided to distribute free food to those people, and they announced it on the internet. And the next morning, there were a crowd by their office fighting with each other. Who is going to be first? And so police arrested both the fighters and the company that wanted to distribute the food because they caused unregistered gathering of people.
Oh,
And so they had a good cause, but they got in trouble and got fined.
Yeah, here you don't have to wear. It's not a requirement that you wear gloves, but and it's in Kaufman County, it's not a requirement that you wear a mask. But most people are wearing many people are wearing masks and still trying to practice social distancing. How long have you all been kind of doing the staying at home and that kind of thing? When did it start in Almaty?
I think it's about a month already.
Okay. Ours
Yeah.
here.
Maybe I
ours-
lost track of time.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah. Our first Sunday to meet only online was March the 15th. So 7
Yeah,
weeks, 7 weeks really now.
Yeah, probably the same for us.
Okay.
And at first they would we didn't have a problem to travel to the church. They didn't have those posts on the streets to stop cars, but now and then they had the paper permissions and people were faking them, and so they finally did electronic permissions that the database and police checks you with the database. But still here, you need to know that everything the police does is still corrupted. And like if they catch you without a permission, they'll just ask you for a bribe to let you go. And,
are there any projections at this point about how long the restrictions will be in place there, or are they talking about? Is the government talking about that much?
Yes, they have published a plan, and it's to slowly let open different organizations. And of course, the more organization is important for the city functioning. The
Right.
earlier it would be allowed to start working, and so all those like big shop centers and cinemas and stuff, they will not open, I think, until July. Yeah. And some organizations are supposed to open in the beginning of May. And one of the pastor wrote an article that the churches are not even listed there.
Right.
The government doesn't even, they're not even on the list of the last of organizations. So all the seminars, everything is, they said it will not be allowed till the middle of summer.
Wow. Which means like the retreat that y'all, so if you're watching this video, the church in Almaty has an annual retreat, a church-wide retreat every April, May. So I guess that won't happen this year. Have you already made a decision to not have it, or what have y'all decided?
We would like to have it, but there is no way we could.
Yeah. Because
the place itself that we did a down payment is closed. And we started talking to them about moving it to summer. Mm-hmm. But the problem is that in summer they have children camps already planned through the whole summer. Mm-hmm. And so far they just said we need to come back in May and we can talk more and see how packed our schedule will be during the summer, and if we can still give you some some days where you can do your church retreat.
Wow. Yeah,
I'm sure that's a loss to everybody, because I think that was important to the church.
Mhm. Yeah.
And
Go ahead, John.
next year will be your 20th anniversary or 20th year. So maybe that can happen next year.
We still want to do this year something. We still want to do it for the church. As you said, it was probably the biggest family church event for us.
Yeah.
We're still hoping to do it. We haven't started talking about next year's anniversary for church, but I hope that we can do a big event and there will be no coronavirus and people can travel and participate.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, we hope that as well. It's it's so hard to plan, because you don't want to cancel things very far out, right? Because you don't know. I mean, I know here things changed so quickly that we felt like, well, maybe they could change back just as quickly, and we didn't want to cancel a whole lot of our plans for later in the summer if there was a chance that maybe we would be able to do some of those things. So I hope that ends up being something ends up being able to happen for the church there, and maybe later, at a later time or something like that. But and definitely in 2021, I hope we have a different world that we're living in by that point. But who knows? We'll see, I guess. So has anybody in the church developed any symptoms, or anybody been ill because of all of this, or how do people seem to be health-wise there at the church?
Praise God, no one from the church is ill or got affected by that. We have one family. We have that there are two families that people are ill in their buildings. Mm-hmm. Where they live. It's like multiple apartment buildings, and so the buildings are blocked, and you cannot leave that building for 14 days.
Yeah.
Until they figure it out. And like here downtown, what they do, the police buys them food and brings it in. They cannot get out for 14 days, but praise God, no one from the church is ill or sick or anything.
Yep. Yeah. Only the people who have dropped heavy things on their feet.
Yeah, unfortunately. I had to rethink, I like to fix things and work at home and fix things on my own. And all my metal saws, cutting discs, they don't have protections. I don't wear goggles. I like tough boy, don't care about stuff. But now I think I'll be using it all. I'll buy all the goggles and all the protections I can have. Yeah. Because I understand our body is very fragile. And I do want to keep it until I die functioning in all of its parts. So I want to protect it, and it's another revelation to me, and that I'll probably be preaching not from the pulpit, but just to people when I talk.
Me and Sasha and I we are about the same age, and we are at that age in our lives where we are realizing that we are not as young as we used to be, right? And that sometimes you hurt your body, and it doesn't recover as quickly as it used to recover. So,
First 3 days I was rejecting that. My toe is not broken. It's gonna heal on its own like 5 days. And they had to make me go for an x-ray.
And when you were 25, it may have been okay, but now you're not 25 anymore. So When
Yeah,
a
when I was
couple,
25, the metal leads would break over my foot, but now they don't anymore.
a couple of weeks ago, I was playing basketball with Drew, and and he jammed my finger, and it got really swollen, and it's still hurting. 10 days later or something like that, a week later. So it's that was a new experience. It didn't used to. I don't remember the last time I jammed my finger as bad as I had that day. So anyway, but
Well, you have to be careful playing with the big guys like Drew.
that's right. That's right.
Yes. And
I broke my finger playing basketball about 5 years ago with the Lighthouse kids,
Uh-huh.
and I couldn't understand. I just touched the person with my finger, and it got broken. I was like, "What? Aren't they made of steel?" Sorry,
Well, I
interrupting.
dread getting as old as you guys are, and when I'll be more fragile and all that.
Right. Johnny, Lana told me a story that you were telling her the other day about people that were older than you, and I thought that was funny. So yeah, I guess somebody's always older than us, so we're never really the oldest person in the scenario, possibly.
I remember I'm into to Kaufman, and we would go with Johnny to help with the food distribution.
Mm-hmm.
And Johnny was loading the boxes, and I was standing aside because my back was hurting.
Yeah.
Yeah, your back was really hurting then, wasn't it?
It was. You seem to do not age, Johnny.
He just keeps going. He's an Energizer bunny. He just keeps going and going. So Sasha, tell us about the church. Y'all, I asked you this before we started recording, but are you guys you're recording your worship services? How is that going? Are you able to connect? Have y'all been able to connect with people through Zoom and WhatsApp and other formats as well? And kind of just talk a little bit about how y'all are kind of approaching this whole thing as the church with the church there. And if you're not familiar, if you're a part of Kaufman Church of Christ, you've heard me talk. There's this really amazing church, the Light of Jesus Church, that is there in Almighty, and it's full of wonderful people who are all following Jesus there and trying to live their lives for the Lord there, and they do a lot of great things in their city. And so I wanted just to get you to kind of just update people on how y'all are handling this as a church leadership to navigate this really weird, unique time.
Our first couple Sundays in quarantine were we produced a terrible quality video. People couldn't hear us. They would lose connection. And we learned quickly. It's good that we have young guys who are good with technologies. And so they figured things out. And now we record everything. On Thursday night, we record our worship. And the preacher would record his sermon somewhere, upload it to Dropbox, and then Sergey and Misha, they would upload it all to their computers. And they say, like Misha says, it takes about 15 hours for him to compose the video and to make it. I don't know if you saw the channel that he started half a year ago called Code 316.
Mm-hmm. I've seen
it. And I've seen that God already was preparing us for this because we were recording our preaching and putting it on YouTube and some other things. And like this Code 316, Misha is translating Craig Rochelle's podcasts, YouTube podcasts, and into Russian, and uploads them to that channel. And he said every video takes about 16, 18 hours to do. So because of it takes time to process the video, etc. And so what we started to do, we recorded everything, they put it on YouTube, and on YouTube you can just program that it will start streaming on Sunday morning at 11:30.
Right.
And the people have been participating very well. They've been active on chat, watching. We were worried about contributions because people are not used to give online, and for some it's still a problem. But it has been good. We haven't did a study on how much percentage it decreased, but maybe decreased some. But some people started giving more, and for many people it's more convenient to give online. We started doing Zoom lessons. I started my Friday night Zoom lessons on the Gospel of John, and so I've did two lessons so far. They're still not the best quality, but I'm working on it. Misha started Tuesday night Zoom lessons for those who are teaching and preaching, how to teach and preach, share the gospel. We do in our house small groups on Zoom and Skype, and it was very, very good. Like in our house group, one of the sisters, she moved to Turkey, but now she's back in our group because it doesn't matter where you are, and everybody were so happy to see her. Our first meeting was so full of joy. And I am, as I told you before, I'm a Christian Vision Ministry. It's where they publish Christian life short videos on different networks, and they allow people to write back, and then they would send this, it's called a click or feedback. They send it to a closest preacher who is registered as an internet missionary. And so I'm receiving those clicks from all over Kazakhstan.
Wow.
And cool. It has been up to 18 people a day, but it's not always like that. Usually now it's like 2-3 people a day write to me, and I help them in their different life issues, family issues, and most of the questions would be about the purpose of life. And of course, I would share the gospel, how God loves them, and that Jesus died for them, with every one of them. So that has been a satisfying thing.
That's great.
And this Saturday, I started going back to my village, where we had like a Sunday afternoon church gathering. It's bad with them because I told you that in Kazakhstan is on like 120th in the world's list by the speed of the internet, and it's very bad here. And in the village, it's even worse. Probably they're probably at the bottom of the list. And so this Saturday, I tried to do a little conference with them. The only thing they could use is a WhatsApp messenger, and it only has limitations only up to 4 people. So I got 4 of them, but we couldn't do the video, only audio. But the good thing, the audio worked, and all 4 of us, we could talk. And we figured out that the Saturday mornings, when kids are already not in school, and all those who worked online, they're still sleeping till noon. The Saturday morning is when internet is still working some. So we decided we'll do Saturday conferences with outside the city, starting from next Saturday, and I hope to encourage and work with them further.
Yeah.
I have also started doing Bible lessons online, probably a couple of weeks before, because of my car crash and other limitations. I recorded all my evangelistic lessons on YouTube, and I have a playlist of 10 videos there. And so what I did with people, I would let them watch one video and then send them questions so they would answer, and I would see that they watched and understood everything, and then send next video. And that's another way how I do evangelistic Bible studies with people when I cannot connect them on Zoom or Skype because of internet problems.
That's great. Yeah, I was telling you before that, you know, we've had internet issues here, and we have, you know, there's not great internet here, but so I understand that part of it, and we have a lot of members at church who live in kind of more rural areas, so their internet is not as good. But we were doing Facebook Live for a while, first few weeks, and then decided to move to YouTube. And so we're doing the same thing, the YouTube premiere, where we can schedule it to go live on set. Our time is 10:30 on Sunday mornings, but anyway, that's been a really good thing as well. So I appreciate all that you guys are doing to continue to reach people and connect with people, and really just continue to be evangelistic even in the ways that you are. And so I'm grateful for you and for Misha and Sergey, and like you said, so I've always been impressed with the church there. A lot of younger younger people, younger couples and families, and you know, you guys have always done technology stuff really well. So I'm sure that you have a lot of good people who have good ideas to help with those kind of things. So that's really neat to hear that that's happening. So are Misha and Oksana still going to work, or are they working from home?
Yeah, Misha works from home, and he said now because he cannot do it as much, he works more for the church.
Yeah.
If before it was like 40 hours working for American Embassy, and 15-20 hours he worked for the church. Now it's switched.
Oh.
Because he's making all those videos. As I said, one video. Misha is perfectionist, and when he does something, he wants to do it to the best he can.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, it takes him about 15 to 18 hours to do a quality translation, and then he works with the video and everything. And Oksana, she has some work, but it's less than she had before.
Mm-hmm.
And for Sergey, it didn't change. He's a website builder,
right?
So he works as much as he did. He's just learning to be surrounded by children running around him and interrupting him.
Yeah, that's true. We're all learning how to do that. That's been new for sure. So, well, are there any, other than for the car and for your continued improvement with your toe, are there any prayer requests that you can think of that people can be praying for the church, or for families, or for individuals, of things that are going on that we can be praying about?
We're still praying for church for the building registration. I told you I was ready to do a next step that I even asked you to pray for, is to ask for permanent, not for the permanent, for temporarily permission. The problem with that there is a school about quarter a mile from our church building, which would be a problem by the law. But I've talked to lawyers, and they said, don't do anything so far. The government is planning to do some changes this year, and hopefully to soften the demands that they have. But so far it's been harder. As I told you before, some preachers were arrested for distributing the food to their church members and to people in need. And of course, the journalists, they would turn it on the church, and they said that they were criminals breaking the law on purpose. And it's only because they want to evangelize everyone and pull them into their sect. But they were simply delivering food, not so. And the government doesn't count the church an important organization. It's not on the list. We cannot get permissions, like even for the preachers, 2 or 3 people from the church to go around the city to serve people, to participate in whatever city does to help. So that's what we're praying for. So so the church would be recognized as the good source of help in these times, because people are willing to sacrifice and to go out and help, but not allowed to. And so the registrations would be, because for many years, there is just a law: do not give any religious registration to any buildings. I've met with an Orthodox priest last fall, and he said even we have a problem. They've built a new Orthodox temple in Almaty, and they couldn't register it for 7 years. Wow. Until like the main Orthodox priest of Kazakhstan met with the president personally, and then he got a permission to register that temple. So that's what we're praying for, because until that, whatever we do, we're illegal.
Yeah.
And we're not. They don't close us only because of their goodwill, you can say, because according to the law, they can close us anytime. Yeah, and so they like to hold us on this fear. I don't know how to say that.
And so if you're watching this later, you may not be aware, but there, as Sasha mentioned, there is part of the issue there in Kazakhstan is that their church building is less than a quarter mile. I've been,
school.
Yeah, churches can't be within a certain distance of a school building. And the reason for that is that the government is concerned that churches will try to convert children in the school system and have influences on the schools and that kind of thing. So they don't like the idea. And so
the funny thing, it's not just schools. It can be a police office, official department, kindergarten, any public building. And one of the lawyers said when they looked at the map of the city, and they put all those buildings there, that they're not allowed to be. There is no place in the city you could have a church building, according to that regulation.
Yeah, right.
And so when they were told about that, they said they will rethink about changing it, but haven't. So
yeah, so we should be praying. It sounds like if the lawyer is saying that maybe he's hoping that there would be some new changes this year, maybe that can be part of our prayer, that those changes will take place and maybe loosen up some of those restrictions. But I have always appreciated the faith that you and Misha and others have, and trust in the Lord that you've continued to meet. I know there was a season of time where you didn't meet, maybe just out of as you were trying to discern, what was best. But man, I have always just been so thankful for your faith and your willingness to continue to meet, even though it's technically illegal to do that. And so we are encouraged as we minister alongside of you from Texas. We are always so encouraged by your faith and by the way that you've continued to press on in the midst of those trials. So thank you for that example and that testimony.
Thank you. About three years ago, they came to our church building. They pretended that they wanted to give us our missionary permissions in our building and to interview all the pastors, all the preachers. And then they said, why do you meet here? We said, it's our church building. They said, where is your permission, like religious permission? And they gave us $5,000 fine, a paper to pay the fine. And we didn't have that money. So I wrote a paper then, we're not paying a fine, but we're stopping our meetings. And for 6 months, we were meeting in the house churches. And then, hoping they forgot, we just got back in and started meeting again, and they didn't say anything. So it's how we.
Honestly, it's a great reminder for for people to be aware of that those kind of situations are happening. Many Americans don't think about the fact that those kind of situations exist for many Christians in other parts of the world. So I think it's just a very powerful testimony of the church, the Light of Jesus Church's faith and trust in the Lord that you're going to do what is best for the gospel and for the body of Christ there. And so I really, really appreciate that your faith and sharing that. I remember you telling me that story, and I know Johnny's heard it as well, and about writing the letter and telling him you weren't going to pay it, and then making the decision to go back to start meeting again. So we want to continue to pray that something will change. But I believe too, and I'm sure you've seen this, that in the midst of that climate, that culture, that exists there, people's lives have continued to be impacted. Jesus. And I think we are finding here in Kaufman that, we depended on physically gathering to be encouraged and to worship and those kind of things. But it's really powerful, I think, to remember in times like these when we are social distancing and all of those kind of things. And also in situations like you all have been in there, that the Spirit of God is not limited in the ways that people try to limit humans, right? So God is going to continue to work, without, even if we're not in the walls of our church building, the Spirit is not bound in the same ways. So I think it's a really powerful reminder, and you guys are living through that there. So thank you for.
And another prayer request would be probably the same as for you, so we can reach out to more people through the internet. And I heard several times already, and I think that might be true, that this is a new era for the church.
Yeah,
and that's maybe
too.
the way how we can reach all the nations through the internet. Now we can bring all Kazakhstan to the Light of Jesus Church. There is no limits on the sitting space our church building.
I like it.
And so we start planning our last leaders meeting. We're planning how we can reach out to people. One of the interesting things I heard from a Moscow preacher that we gather with on Sunday nights to exchange experience. He said when we gathered 27 of our ministers and we counted how many subscribers on social networks we have together, we counted 86,000 subscribers.
Wow.
And so now we want to encourage all the church members to use their social networks to spread the gospel further. And then this way we can multiple our influence into the world, into Kazakhstan. So there would be another prayer request probably for both of us. So we can reach out more people and keep those that will already have faithful and growing and maturing in their faith in Christ.
That's great. That's a good word. I love it. Well, why don't we, Johnny, you have anything you want to ask or add or anything like that, and as we wrap up? I'm gonna stop the recording, but we can continue to talk. I'm just gonna stop the recording, but I wanted to kind of end this part, and then we can. I want to pray. I want to have you pray, Johnny, before we stop the recording. So.
Okay. Well, I have just always admired Sasha's desire to teach people about Jesus that that don't know him, and it seems that he goes every day looking for people to teach.
Mm-hmm. Amen. It's good. Is Genya happen to be awake yet?
Yeah, she's getting kids ready, breakfast and for school.
Okay. Well, if she happens to walk by here before we stop recording, or even after we stop recording, we can say hi to her too. People can see her face. Oh, you're calling her.
Ты не этот. Хочешь заглянуть? She has a towel around her head.
I wondered if she was getting ready. That's funny. That's great. Yeah, sometimes a little bit of advanced notice if they're going to be on the screen.
You know, women, they need an advance notice.
Yeah. I don't want to be surprised.
Even I shaved this morning, so you can see me.
I don't have much of a beard, but I've been trying to grow it out for a couple of years, and it's about as good as it gets. But
I was letting it grow some, but my mom called me from Moscow and said, "You're a public person, you have to shave." So I had to go and shave.
That's funny. That's funny. Well, Johnny, why don't you pray for us, and then if Genya pops in before we stop recording, she can say hi to people as well. But we can, and if she doesn't, that's okay. Johnny and I can see her after we stop recording. But we'll wrap up this part of our conversation. So.
Okay, let's pray. Father, I thank you for the things that Christians share, no matter where they are, and thank you for the good things that we share with Sasha and with the Light of Jesus Church. And I pray for your continued guidance and power, that your Spirit will be at work in us. I pray you'll help us to look to you and be guided by you as we live out our lives. And so I thank you so much that we're part of your family. In the all-powerful name of Jesus, we pray. Amen.
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 All right. Well, I will. She jumping on?
I heard the hair dryer stop.
She's good. I'm going to stop. I'll stop the recording. So we can say bye to everyone that's watching, and then I'll stop the recording, and we can keep chatting for a few minutes. So, okay. Thanks, guys, for doing this. This has been good.
Oh, there she is.
Oh, okay, she's coming. Okay. Let's say hi to her real quick.
Hi, guys.
Hey, Genya.
Hi, Genya.
Hey.
Good to see you.
Your hair looks wonderful.
Good to see you too. Thank you. It's still wet.
Are you getting ready for the day?
We need to run, and we have a doctor's appointment with Elijah. I'm taking him to the dentist at 9 o'clock.
I'm glad that dentist offices are still operating. They're only operating mostly here as like emergency situations, mostly, So.
It is kind of emergency. It's not like a regular checkup. He fell last year when he was riding a bike. He kind of fell with the bike and knocked his some part, the front teeth out, and we need to fix his front tooth. It's the same. I mean, it's
yeah.
complicated problem, and they told us it's not easy to fix. So we are doing that today.
That's
I
good.
think they just opened them today, dentistries, and I mean, I don't know if they were working last week, because when I called, they didn't make an appointment last week. They just made an appointment first thing on Monday.
Yeah. So he's about 11 years old now?
He is 11, yes, he is 11. Almost as tall as me now.
That's
That
good.
can really.
Yeah, they all keep growing. They all keep growing.
They are, yeah. It's like they wake up in the morning, go downstairs, and I'm like, where did you grow? I mean, yesterday you were a lot shorter than today. Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, I was telling somebody the other day that when church comes back and we start meeting physically again, that all the children in the church will have grown, and so
Yeah.
they'll all look different from the last time that we saw them. So
Yeah.
anyway, well, it's good to see you.
What are the plans for you guys? When they gonna let you meet again? And did they tell?
They haven't really told. Some churches are doing different kinds of things already. One thing that has happened in some places is that churches they're doing what they call drive-in church. But that's an option, I guess you could still do, but there's a lot of planning that goes involved with that. I think most people are expecting that there'll be some announcements in the next week or two that will give us some more information about those kinds of
because
things.
numbers started to drop down and it looks like promising now.
Yeah, I think that's what we're hoping. So, but I think here in Texas, maybe the governor is supposed to make an announcement tomorrow, or maybe the next couple of days, so that we should know more information and see. But I was telling Sasha, we were telling Sasha a minute ago, I mean, there's so many, it's hard to make plans too far out. You don't want to plan one way or the other, to cancel or to have worship services. But even when we have worship services, we may end up having to do other things still through the computer, so maybe still have smaller groups that meet through the computer, and maybe not have a lot of classes and that kind of thing. So anyway, we'll see. But they're really trying to open up businesses and things like that, because obviously that all of those things being closed really hurts the economy. So we'll see how it goes, but we're just trying to take it a day at a time and see how they have closed schools though for the rest of the year, so there'll be no school. We'll be homeschooling.
They're gonna have line semester, fall semester as well.
Yeah.
I have a friend, her daughter's in US university, and they said whole university is gonna be online as well.
Yeah, I've heard some similar things. I think everybody's trying to, such an unknown, nobody's ever dealt with it, so everybody's kind of figuring out how to navigate all of that. But it's a very, very unique time. So
I told our kids to keep writing in diaries, because they can. I mean, not many. All of the people are at home, but not many are writing down what's happening with them as like.
Yeah,
personally.
That's a really good idea, because the truth is, your kids and my kids, Johnny and Polly's grandkids, they'll be telling their children one day will be studying about it in history books.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, because it's a history thing. Yes,
yeah.
And we are living history process. Yes.
Right. So it'll be neat to have for your kids to have a journal, some journal entries where they can recall some of their memories during this time. That's a good idea. Yeah. I should do that too. Should have my kids write it down.
Yeah.
So, well, it's good to see you. Thanks for jumping on for a second, letting us see you and say hello.
Thank you. I'm always happy to see you. I'm Yeah. Well, I
Ready?
cannot be online for your activities, but like when I watch them on Facebook, I'm always happy to see you guys too.
Thanks.
You have a beautiful family.
Thank you very much. I'm ready to get back and visit you guys or have y'all come back here and see us. So Lana just walked in. I want to say her to say hi too real quick. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
I said that when you'll come, everybody speaks English now because all of them are in international school. Hi, morning.
Hey.
I mean evening. Evening. It's not morning. It's Sunday evening.
Evening here. Yeah. Good morning to you.
Thank you.
So she's about to take Elijah to the dentist, so we're just wrapping up. But,
Okay.
But since you walked in the room, I wanted you to be able to see her and say hi. So.
Very good.
I was happy to see everybody. I mean, Olivia looks like a little lady, not like a baby girl.
Yes.
Last time we saw.
Yeah.
You know, get Olivia. Say hi.
Yeah, I'm here.
I got Drew. Drew was on here earlier. He's
Drew is like his voice is so deep, and he looks just like you. And you, I mean, wow, yes, they do grow so quickly.
yeah. Olivia, you want to say hi?
Polly is hiding somewhere as well.
Always hiding somewhere there.
Yeah. Polly,
Yeah, you want to say hi to Sasha and Jenya and
can
Kaufman?
you come say
Oh,
hi?
yeah,
And here's Alex,
probably doesn't remember.
Hi, Olivia.
Aaron.
He's hiding. Hi.
Aaron got new glasses.
Yeah.
We saw
everybody.
5 years ago. They were all little kids.
Came to visit here. How many years? 5 years ago?
I think 5 years. In May, 5 years ago.
Hello, Polly.
Hello,
Polly.
Hello, it's good to see you guys.
Look at that crowd in here.
Yeah. It's like a family reunion here.
Yeah.
Oh, we like a family reunion. That's true. We would love for you all to be here sometime.
We would. We need to get y'all back for a visit.
Oh, yeah.
Good plan.
We would love to come. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
With your kids.
Yeah, that would be amazing. And since they all can speak now and talk to people, yeah, it would be easier.
How old is your youngest now?
She is, I think she and Olivia are the same age, or maybe she's a year younger. She's 8. She just turned 8.
Well, that's Olivia. Olivia will be 9 in September, but she's 8 right now.
Yeah. That's what I thought, that she's a little bit
So
younger.
they'll be friends with Julie.
Yeah.
They have kids.
I have 4 kids too.
We have 4. We have 1 boy and 3 girls. Yeah.
The girls, 2 girls are older, like you and Drew. One of them is in college, and one of them is your age. And then they have a boy that's Aaron's age, almost the same. So
Yeah. So 19, 17, 11, and 8.
Wow.
it's good.
Everybody's
Time flies.
growing up.
Yes. That's what I said. Like Elijah would come downstairs for breakfast, and I would.
And he's
And he
bigger
would-
than yesterday.
It's taller. It
Look at this. Sasha,
doesn't take that short amount of time to grow. Yeah.
Sasha, show your T-shirt. Show your T-shirt. The T-shirt you have on. He's got- He's wearing his Kaufman Lions T-shirt.
That's fun.
Yeah, I thought that was funny.
Okay, I need to run, guys.
Love you guys.
Good to see you.
Please.
Good
That's
to
great to
see you.
Yes.
Bye-bye.